Jonathan Hickman's Spider-Man Long Way Home is off to a crazy start. And now, of course, it's no coincidence that we have a new Spider-Man Hulk Punisher story coming out around this time, to get people hyped up for Brand New Day. But man, the way this story portrays Bruce and the Hulk, man, it's probably gonna keep some people up at night. So with that said, you've been warned. So if you're enjoying these videos, be sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell to get all notifications. Alright, so with how this begins, we start out in South America with Bruce Banner in a confessional booth. And I'll just say here, this version of Bruce Banner, it's one that we don't see that often. And you'll get what I mean in a moment. But while he's here, the priest immediately recognizes his American accent. And he lets Bruce know that it's not often that he has an American come through for a confessional, unless it's intelligence officers or military contractors. Others like them would send spread a mile wide and stacked a mile deep. And when the priest says, "Dare I hope that you're something different?" Bruce tells him, "Different? No, father, not different. Much, much worse." Then it's like a moral man who ignores his conscience, or a monster who has none. And now when we see Bruce spot a helicopter here, this takes us over to Frank Castle, who's heading in with his team, where we got Sergeant Dexter Hollins, aka Farmhouse, Corporal Thomas Dukes, aka Jaws, Sergeant Jack Ward, also known as Sweetgrass, Corporal Devlin Wayne, aka Doorknob, Major Donald Duke, who also goes as Wallet, and Lieutenant Frank Castle, who of course is also known as the Punisher. And as it stands, their mission is to head into the deep jungle and take down an AIM facility, much like every mission in that Marvel's Avengers game. Y'all remember that? But they also know there's a chance of Hydra hitting this facility as well. But that's not a problem because these guys have done over 100 missions together, so they are sharp as a razor, as Frank would say. And these guys have been doing this for so long to where it's like, at first, a lot of them were like, hey, we're doing what we're doing to serve the country. But over time, they realized there was a darker reality, where many of these missions were just feeding some corporate interest. And now when they arrived, Dex, or Farmhouse, he's like, got a bad feeling about this one, boss, which really gives me Predator vibes. And I'd also say Star Wars too, which is more famously known for that line. But according to Doorknob, that's something Farmhouse just says all the time. And now when the Major goes on to give his team more details on what they're getting into, he lets them know that he doesn't necessarily like it either, because there's way too many moving pieces involved. Because the parameters are clear: hit the AIM facility and neutralize any AIM agents they come across. But the mission objective is not so clear, because once they're inside, they gotta retrieve, quote, the device. And then on top of that, you have the possibility of Hydra showing up. And even now, Frank's like, that possibility has become more of a sure thing now that his team's arrived. So as the team heads in, the Major puts Frank on Overwatch, so he can cover them from above with a rifle and let the team know what's going on outside the facility. But right away, the first thing that Frank sees is that Hydra's already here. They're hitting AIM hard, and they're going into the southeast entrance of the facility. But it's like, depending on how you look at it, this kind of works in their favor, with Hydra basically clearing a path for their team to just walk right in. But again, as we were told, the Major doesn't know exactly what they're looking for. They were just told once inside, get the device. So for a little while, they're just going off of what Doorknob knows about standard AIM facility layouts, which then leads them to this room where they find this tore down super adaptoid that's basically been stripped for parts, which by itself, that's something that just doesn't look good. Because if someone's stripping down a super adaptoid, they're likely repurposing unstable molecules. So when these guys are like, this looks like bad news all the way down, the AIM scientist who was working on this, he's like, no, this isn't bad news. This is good news, the best kind. And he says here, tell me, gentlemen, have you ever wanted to play God just before something massive comes crashing down into the roof of the facility? And so of course, with Frank on Overwatch, he radios this into the Major. And with this object hitting the facility so hard, the Major lets Frank know that him and the guys felt it too. But the Major cuts this short because he's just like, keep us posted, because we're dealing with something crazy on our end. And that's where we see that this scientist has built a cosmic cube. So right away, this has Doorknob. Like, Major, if that's what this is, then we're over the target. I say we grab the box and get the hell out of here. And now the scientist is like, yes, that's an excellent idea. I'll even unlock and carry it for you if you'll just take me with you. It's my life's work after all. But as soon as he unlocks it, Hydra barges in. And they're just like, hell, Hydra. Oh wait, the scientist has a cube. Stop him before he uses it. So they light him up. But as the rest of this Hydra team is just standing there, Major and Dex are just looking at him like, wait, is he with them? And as soon as we see what they see, and what most of these Hydra agents don't see, which is the Hulk standing right behind them, and I'm talking about Ang Lee's size Hulk. Like, if you know, you know. And now some of these guys are like, well, what is he talking about with them? And another dude's like, I don't care, just drop the cube and we'll let you go. Which again makes me think of that game, drop the cube, Monica. But when one of these guys finally takes a look behind him, and he sees the not so jolly tiptoeing green giant, Hydra quickly turns their attention towards the immediate threat, as the Major tells his team to back away slow. Because really, with these guys having the cosmic cube on them, job's done here, so they can get moving. But of course, with it not taking the Hulk that long to deal with Hydra agents, the back away slow tactic quickly turns into a never mind that, run! And now one of the things I really like about stories like this is how none of these guys know what a Hulk is. So running into one, and in this way especially, it's pure horror. Cause now as the team's making their way for the exit, the Major radios Frank, and he's like, Punisher, coming your way, the devil is right behind us. So as they head out, Frank has eyes on them, and he lets them know that they're clear. But then when the Hulk steps out behind them, Frank's just like, what is that? Cause he has no idea what he's looking at. But following this, for a brief moment, we head all the way up to New York, where we find Peter getting a call from S.H.I.E.L.D. And really, S.H.I.E.L.D., they're just calling for Spider-Man. And I mean, they know Peter Parker is Spider-Man, but S.H.I.E.L.D. has a situation they need Spider-Man to handle. So they call him here at an ungodly hour, and they tell him that he's got 5 minutes to meet an agent at the rendezvous. So Peter gets suited up and he makes his way there. Meanwhile, back over with Frank and the others, right now, their main priority is heading out and getting back over the border. But as they make their way, the Major asks Doorknob if he's figured out that box. So Doorknob goes on to say here, if that scientist was right, if it is a cosmic cube, then this little box is kind of a genie's lamp. So if it's also stable, you can basically make a wish and see it come true, which is a great quick summary on what a cosmic cube does. But then when Frank asks Doorknob what he means by stable, they hear someone in the back screaming. But when they turn around to look for Giles, the only thing they see left are his feet. So they open fire, letting out everything they've got, just lighting up the jungle. And when they're done, one of these guys is like, did we get him? Anyone see anything? And another one's like, I see something. It's moving. And the other dude's like, moving? How could we have missed? Just before the Hulk comes through the fire, holding Giles, saying, you didn't miss. All you did was make me angry. So the Major gets ready to throw all of his grenades at once, only for the Hulk to throw his mans at him. And just like that, he's gone. And the rest of these guys are stuck, like what just happened? And the Hulk's like, well, you gonna stand there or you gonna run? So of course these guys take off. And when they get to this bridge that looks like it covers a good distance between these two cliffs, Sweetgrass tells the others to get across while he holds off the monster, and as soon as they get to the other side, collapse it. But they hear him get taken out just moments after. But again, with these guys not really knowing anything about a Hulk, once they reach the other side, Farmhouse burns the bridge, and he tells Punisher and Doorknob we're safe. And then Frank's like, nah, I don't think we are. Just before the Hulk jumps over there, off a drop step, smashing Farmhouse and tossing Frank and Doorknob up in the air. So now it's just 2 of these guys left. And now when the Hulk tells them, give it to me, give me the cube, it's right here where Frank and Doorknob find out that this is more than just some mindless monster coming after them. Because not only is it after the cube, but this tells them that the Hulk knew it was there, which then begs the question like, wait, how did he know? Who sent him? So there are a lot of things that Doorknob and Frank unpack just from the Hulk telling them to hand over the cube. But at the same time, it begs even more questions as far as the who's and the whys behind why the Hulk wants it. So Doorknob reaches for the cube and he's like, you want it? Fine. Here you go. Just before using it to blast the Hulk away, which also killed Doorknob in the process. Which now has Frank like, so I guess the genie's lamp ain't stable. Still doesn't mean it can't be useful. Over 100 missions, a team honed to a razor sharpness, experienced, proven, the best there was. But this time, only one of us was coming home. To where from there, Frank takes the cube and he continues on, with little to no clue of what just happened here. So the plan for Frank now is just to hold on to that cube, lay low and make his way back to the States, before any other strangers just pop up on him, telling Frank to hand it over. But now from here, after some time has passed, we jump back over to Peter, who's recently been brought to the AIM facility in South America, where the Hulk smashed AIM and Hydra so bad that in some of these cases, Peter can't even tell who's who. But even now, Peter doesn't know why he's here. And I'd say a lot of that has to do with the fact that he's dealing with S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Clay Quartermain, who has a history of being difficult to work with. And I just imagine this version of him isn't too different. Because even when Peter asks, why is he here? He just goes on like, well, I have my orders and I follow them. And how this is a screw up of major proportions. And how given the fact that S.H.I.E.L.D's operating under certain international restrictions, they decided to subcontract a third party. So Peter's just like, yeah, it's smart. You guys always make the best decisions. And now, of course, Clay picks up that condescending tone, but he goes on to tell Peter that he's here officially to clean things up. But again, this doesn't answer Peter's question, because he's basically like, I'm sure you'll do a good job of cleaning this up. But again, why am I here? So Quartermain tells him, I got 2 helicarriers, a couple thousand S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, and several million rounds of ammo. But you are here because that ain't nowhere near enough to handle this kind of heat. The boss made a call, and it's the kind you don't get to refuse. So, welcome aboard, Spider-Man. And then when he hands Peter the S.H.I.E.L.D. branded iPad, with it showing the Hulk just tearing through both Hydra and AIM, Peter looks at it and he's just like, great. Cause Peter, he doesn't know what he's looking at. All he knows is that this is what S.H.I.E.L.D. wants him to stop. And now after this, just 2 days later, when we jump over to Miami, we find that Frank has sent a message to a Mr. Shepard, where Frank tells him things went bad, headed your way, got something that might need to move. So right away, Mr. Shepard gets ready for Frank. He sets his dog down, he loads his gun, because he knows whatever Frank has gotten himself into, it ain't good. And now back over with Peter, who's getting filled in on more of the details with Agent Quartermain. For Peter, things looked bad enough when he got here, but after seeing more, the S.H.I.E.L.D. team isn't exactly filling in with confidence either. But with Agent Quartermain, who admits that he's perhaps a little too used to flying through gory footage, he admits that what really bothers him about this is what they don't know. Because again, in this story, Spider-Man doesn't know the Punisher or the Hulk, so he's flying blind here. And now when Quartermain goes on to share with Peter more about what S.H.I.E.L.D. does know, he tells him based on the security footage and the satellite feeds, they know they're dealing with a cosmic cube. And based on what they've got, they're pretty confident that this guy, Lieutenant Frank Castle, is the last man standing. So he pulls up his file, Force Recon, Decorated Soldier, and what's available of his record shows to be clean. So that's where Peter's like, so which is he? Good guy or a bad guy? So Agent Quartermain tells him that's a complicated question. And that's where Peter's like, well, we'll try anyway. And Quartermain tells him last 5 years of his record are mostly scrubbed. Covert work demands some moral flexibility, so I'm sure he's crossed the line. But if I had to guess, I'd say he's on the side of the Angels. His problem is that he's now got something he shouldn't have, which means he's in way over his head. So that's where Peter's like, what about the other one, the monster? And Quartermain's like, nothing. Scintillation counter picked up some gamma radiation, which definitely pings some target files we have, but it could be the device, could be the cube. Then Peter sums this all up like, so we got a maybe decent guy with a dangerous thing, and an unknown, very dangerous thing that's coming for him. And Quartermain's just like, yep, and S.H.I.E.L.D. can't be within 5 miles of this. I mean, we'll help where we can, but this is all on you, Spider-Man. And now as Frank is making his way back up to the States, we now find him heading north through Nicaragua, with him saying here, as soon as I walked out of the jungle into some semblance of civilization, the training took over, like some inevitable evolutionary story about an invertebrate climbing out of the ocean and immediately changing into a predator. It was easy. I spoke the language, I blended in a bit, and when I wasn't broadcasting friendly, my body language was screaming, danger, stay far away, which was enough to buy me the time to think about what I've gotten myself into and how the hell I was going to get my way out. One thing was for sure, I needed to get home, which meant getting to Honduras and Puerto Cortes, and from there, a short boat ride to Miami, where friendly faces would be waiting on me, only for us to next see the not-so-friendly face of Bruce Banner, who's not only managed to intercept the message from Frank to Mr. Shepard, but now he's closing in on Frank's location. And it's very creepy just based on how little we know about this Bruce. But from what he's collected, with him having Frank's number, he gives him a call, where he's like, hello Frank, I won't waste your time with clever games about how I know your name or how I got this number, or any other boring conversation that circles back to how do these bad men always have all the answers? Because you know, it's easy if you know where to look and who to ask. And when he tells Frank you have something of mine, Frank's like, that was you? In the jungle? And Bruce tells him, yes, it was me. Or better put, the me I always wish I could be. Now, are you going to bring it to me? Or am I going to have to come and get it? So that's where Frank tells him, you killed all my friends, and you're asking me for favors? Let me tell you something. No, he's like, let me do you one and offer some free advice. Stay away, because I see you again, I'm going to use the cube and erase you from existence. Understand? And Bruce tells him I do. See you soon, Frank. So Frank just tosses the phone before he gets on the boat, to avoid having Bruce use it to track him any further. But as it stands, Bruce knows more than Frank would like, because he knows Frank is heading to Miami. And now when we jump forward 4 days, we find Frank in Miami catching a cab. And later that night, we see a cab pull up to Mr. Shepard's home. And when the cab pulls up, his dog is just going crazy. So Mr. Shepard's like, calm down, it's just Frank. You know Frank. But when he opens the door and he sees who steps out of the cab, it's definitely not Frank Castle, but instead it's Bruce Banner. And now what's funny is how on the top of this cab, you have what looks to be an ad for Jekyll and Hyde, which is kind of funny. But when Bruce gets here, he's like, hello, good evening. You're Mr. Shepard, right? I'm sure I have the right address. I'm looking for my friend, Lieutenant Castle. And now because Mr. Shepard knows good and well that Frank didn't say anything about a +1, he knows for a fact this surprise visitor is up to no good. So he just tells Banner, sorry son, no one here by that name and no good's gonna come from asking. And this only leads to Banner hulking up out of that taxi so he can head inside and more or less take a look for himself. And even now, Mr. Shepard is just letting off shots, but we know that's not gonna do him much of any good at this point. And now after this, when we jump forward to the next morning, with Peter making his way to Mr. Shepard's home. When he gets there, he says it looks like a bomb went off here, because the place is totally wrecked. And even now, Peter's like, I gotta say, I'm getting kind of tired of swinging into war zones, hoping for the best and not finding it. But then when Peter goes in for a closer look, there's a message on the wall for Frank written in blood that says, you should have given me the cube. And it's inside where Peter finds Frank mourning Mr. Shepard, who, as we know now, did not win that fight with the Hulk. And it's a shame. I was rooting for him. But hey, at least the dog's okay. Then it's here where Peter, who's not the best with words in situations like this, says something to Frank that perhaps could have waited, But he starts off good, because at first he's like, I don't know what to say. I'm sorry, Lieutenant Castle. I'm sorry this happened to you. And I'm sorry for what happened to your friend. And I promise I will help you catch the monster who did this. And this is where I truly believe Peter should have just stopped. But he doesn't, because he goes on to just get down to business. Like now. Because then he says, I need you to give it to me. I need you to give me the cube. And that's where Frank, who, mind you, doesn't know Spider-Man, is just like, yeah, well, and I'm not going to front. I thought he was going to get up and be like, who is that? Huh? Who is that? But in this case, of course, it would be because Frank doesn't know who's asking for the cube now. Frank tells him here, yeah, well, you can't freaking have it. So, yeah, way to go, Peter, because now you done pissed Frank off. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who's new here, who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below where you can go to patreon.com/DopeSpill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. All right, later.